Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. My name is Maneesh Vasudeo. I have a great panel set up here with a great mix of CTV and programmatic CTV stakeholders. We have three tech players, two large media houses, and I represent Center of Excellence for CHEL. I'll do a brief introduction for all of my co-panelists, and we will then dive into the session. So, of course, you have heard Alvin. Alvin would represent the SSP side of the business on how do you get supply and many more things. Plus, Alvin will also add the nuance of the entire global view of things and how is CTV shaping up globally, right? Then, of course, I have Abhijeet. This is one of the few panels which will have all the stakeholders. So Abhijeet gets into the nuance of smart TV OS and how is that building up for the country. Maya represents Dentsu. Of course, all of us know in the room it's a large global media org. But also she will get the interesting nuance of consulting background. She has also worked with two out of four big fours. So I will look for those insights. Then we have Yatin. Yatin, is a media veteran, I would say, with great insight of offline TV planning and now also contributing to building CTV. So that's the lens we will, get some insights from Yatin on that. And, Anand has been doing, I think from digital front, there is a lot of products that Anand has worked with across last decade and a half or so. So I'm sure, his lens, I think, but in today's discussion, as a subset of CereOne, we'll look at more contribution from a DSP lens for Anand. How we have segmented today's conversation is in parts, is in 5 parts, sorry. Part one is how do we build supply? We are a large country with 1.4 billion population, more than 800 million online, more than now debatably 60 to 80 million on CTV. So, how do we build supply and keep building this? Because this will keep growing. Then the second piece is, once you have the supply, as a marketer, you think about what is the right creative and what is the channel mix that I will put in before I go live with the campaign. So that's the second part. The third part is how do I look at engagements, and as a follow-up to it, how do we measure it? So these are the 5 parts in which we are setting the flow of today's conversation. I will open my device to also reflect on the questions that I have noted for the panel. So what I will do is I'll start with Abhijeet. Abhijeet, as a founder of a CTV operating software with deep expertise in TV inventory, your insights will be key, on the data and measurement side. So with that, what are you doing to build a robust and high quality CTV inventory in India? And what are the key challenges you face?
I think I'll start with the challenges first.
Yeah,
because from an OS perspective, our journey begins much before the TVs are even into the market. So, especially ensuring that regardless of where these TVs are selling, its affordability, all of that, every TV must be ready to serve ads or be updatable over a period of time. Right? This is because especially India is at a place in a pivotal way that it's going to transition from linear TV into CTV over the next couple of years. Over there, these are certain challenges that we are already building in. However, the fun part is that CTV is still not standardized today. It's still very new. Right. Pre-rolls and mid-rolls are certain things that we are using, but apart from that, there are many more ad formats that we are still innovating, whether they may be mastheads, innovative ads, interactives, 3D ads, all of these. These are screensavers, on boot. So there are many more formats that will work out for different types of brands in very different ways. Also from a perspective that you're not just targeting channels or apps, but you could target a lot more than that in terms of viewing behavior, in terms of premiumness or what kind of screen sizes you want to target a lot more than traditional broadcasting or linear TV.
Yeah, I think one of the propositions that all smart TV OS are able to bring in always is, if you cannot target Netflix directly, we are the ones who can bring that to you. That is a very common proposition that, we have heard from smart TV OS players. Now, Alvin, coming to you, thanks, Abhijeet, for that perspective. Alvin, I would ask you to sort of extend on the same question on what are your supply building challenges, and also give us some peek into what do you see in APAC and from a global lens, how do you see the supply being solved for, and what are the learnings from there to here, if any?
I think for me, hello. Yeah, I think for me generally it's not so difficult to get supply. To be honest, it's easy to get supply. But I think a lot of the supply that we work with right now, especially in Southeast Asia market, it's always about demand, right? If you talk to them and say, okay, great, you want our supply? No problem, we can give you a vast stack. You just do an integration, but tell me what's your demand. And then the other biggest challenge is fixed rates, because the fixed rates from the broadcasters are very, very different from what the agency wants, because they are broadcasters. They say, okay, maybe Indian market would be say $2, right? But in this is Asia Pacific could be ranging from $4 to $10, right? But the fact that every broadcaster wants to have the maximum yield of their supply, right? And that's where the conflict comes around, right? Because then that's become very difficult for us to say, hey, what's the average fixed rate in the market, right? And that's why it also comes to the point where I didn't share as much, but we also have created a regional premium marketplace in Southeast Asia and Hong Kong. But that's why we are creating one here in India. It's an Indian premium marketplace. We have that in Southeast Asia and Hong Kong. So that's where the biggest struggle is really about the demand and the fixed rates. That's why we face a lot of issues. And then how do we repackage it and sell it to the agencies? That's another question.
Very interesting. If you read through one of the lines, and we were discussing this earlier, there are geographies in APAC even working on a $10 kind of CPM, right? Typically in India, if I have to translate it in rupees or backward translate dollars in India, we are really at times working at sub $1. So we are talking about 10x pricing, yeah. And but I think the population is to our advantage. On that note, I think Anand, while FreeWheel solves for, let's say, from a Yahoo DSP lens, while FreeWheel solves for one part of your inventory, what else are you doing to build supply? And how do you look that building for Yahoo DSP?
So basically, yeah, as Alvin mentioned, right? I mean, India is a supply-heavy ecosystem, unlike other markets like you mentioned, US and Australia, and where supply is not heavy, demand is heavy. So I think what when I started Programmatic, I think I had learned from one of my mentors, right? I mean, supply is something which is like it's not a perishable. It's not like you can keep aggregating. It's like you have to sell it at the right rate at the right time. I think most of us in the room are all playing that programmatic route. Some of them have come from the publisher's background, like how to change the floor prices, how to make sure that you get the sweet spot. Like in the day, you get the maximum CPMs, and probably at the end of the day, you try to leverage as much as possible. On increasing the supply front, I think currently in a CTV ecosystem, I think we have just 10 to 12 players who are currently leading the entire show of CTV for India. Back in the day when we were doing traditional digital buying, even for display video apps, we were doing cherry picking. I want just NDTV or Indian Express or XYZ. I think CTV is currently in that ecosystem. As fast grows, as number of smart TV increases, I think we'll have more education in the market where we'll not sell cherry picking as platforms. I think we'll be selling packages. I think that would be the real flavor of CTV, while we selling a package of entertainment, news genre, where on the other side of it, on web, on app, we are buying audiences, but on the CTV side, we are still going and asking for specific supplies. I think that will change by next 1 or 2 years. And then I think it would be the real era of CTV.
But I believe that's the change you will only have to bring.
Of
I
course.
think, CereOne has a large sales workforce also to build onto it. So maybe you and Alvin will have to lead the charge there.
Let me add on to it. I think what we have done quite successfully in Southeast Asia and Hong Kong, which is the regional premium marketplace, is we want to build a conglomerate, right, of all the premium publishers. So say, for example, we can talk to VTV for us, or iQIYI, or even View, right? And form a conglomerate like something like this, like a roundtable, and hash out, hey, how do we help you generate better yield, right? Because I think the fact that, to stop throwing your supply into places, like say, for example, like I said, when you go to your supply into open market, it becomes really very cheap, right? You don't control your price. If you go to sell it to a reseller, it becomes cheap, right? And then if you go start selling to another person and start selling person, it becomes cheaper and cheaper, right? So I think that's what we are trying to build, a consortium where technically, we can talk to all the OEM partners. Let's aggregate what rate do we want to control this market, this price is. Then the buyers has no choice. You know what I'm saying? The buyer has no choice because everyone is non-agreeable. And to be honest, in this industry, all the broadcasters talk to each other. Correct? We all know, not only just in India, right? In Asia Pacific, in Southeast Asia, they all talk, right? But it's just that nobody do anything about it, right? So we also take this effort to do the same thing, like we are part of AVIA, right? The Asia Video Industry Association, and they can also help us mediate it, right? So to kind of build a consortium, control the supply, control the fragmentation, and then that's where we can help the broadcasters to get better yield. But of course, it's not over time. It's not overnight, but it will take time, right? It will take time to slowly build that strategy across and influence one another, how we can help broadcasters, right? And because all these broadcasters are spending a lot of money on content, right? Content are not built cheap. Like I come from broadcaster perspective, right? Because we own Universal Pictures, right? Let's say if you watch Jurassic Rebirth recently, right? They're not cheap production. You don't pay Scarlett Johansson $2 to film a movie, right? You don't pay, this guy's cheap, and especially same thing for India, right? You don't pay your Bollywood actor like Shah Rukh Khan or who are these guys, few thousand rupiah, and that's it, you come film for me, right? They don't. They come at a premium price, right? And that's why I also shared a little bit about, why you should, pay for premium versus UGC content, right? So that's what about.
Sure. No, interesting perspective. Moving on to creative formats, and I will go back to Anand, and we'll start from there on. What are the creative formats you're seeing your partners, your agencies, your brands are taking up from CTV lens? Because Abhijeet briefly touched onto it that there are new formats coming in. So what's your lens on that?
So I feel, Maneesh, selling a regular pre-roll ad is not going to be any more eventually. In fact, at CereOne also, we are going very, precise where, we are telling our clients that it's not like a regular buy. We are also packaging rich media. So I think interactive and shoppable ads would be the next era for CTV for 2025-26. By just plugging in a weather, where you can see a weather on the CTV ad, or maybe a live score. Probably it's like a dashboard, right? You can have your brainstorming around it. By doing these small tweaks on a CTV ad, you are actually increasing the attention score, and that's what the client is looking for, right? Better completion rate, better attention score. Now the standard linear format, which was there back in the TV and L band, is now a very common phenomena which you are seeing on CTV. Many clients are putting a barcode there. So the idea is maybe the scan can lead to an Amazon link or XYZ where they can get an end purchase. You never know that. So currently, I think it's in the brainstorming stage where we are trying a lot of new things. But effectively, I think we'll reach a stage where it will not be just a regular pre-roll or a mid-roll. It will be definitely more than that. And by doing this, I think we can ask for a premium CPM as well. By doing just a pre-roll, mid-roll ad, I think by plugging it with a rich media creative, I think we can ask for a premium, which is again embedded in the CPM itself, but is justifiable. So I think that's what we are doing here.
No, makes sense. I think if CTV would have come to India like 10, 12 years ago, I think we would have opted into more mastheads or banner inventory because at that time that was the case. With the geo wave, better connectivity, we got opted into pre-roll mid-rolls actually because we took it as an extension of digital video. Whereas it needs to be extended as a screen. On that note, I will come to you, Yatin. From a media investment standpoint, what's your team's approach to creative innovation on CTV? And how do you balance between standard formats and, like Anand mentioned, more engaging formats and making investments on that?
So the creative approach of deployment on CT predominantly depends on the roles of communication, which usually get aligned with clients on a campaign basis or at the analyzed level, right? At this point of time, when Anand mentioned, like CTV is at a unique position to offer very differentiated creative formats. They have from a range from a large billboard to home screen. Pre-roll, mid-roll is, while it's growing, it will further grow because the larger business will depend on pre-roll or mid-roll. You have actionable ads, which with the QR codes are pretty much there. So it's a very unique position where it helps us to better creative format utilization. Also, which is layered with very refined targeting capabilities, which CTV offers basis various data signals available. It gives a distinctive approach of deployment across clients, across categories. For example, if there's a client which is running a product launch of auto category having a new variant launch, the home screen capitalizing on leveraging the audience, the traffic of audience on that platform. Also, if FMCG or any other category who have sequential different copies of creative, you can lead to a sequential deployment of creative to same set of audiences. Also, on the other hand, you want to have a different creative to be observed with different audiences, you can even deploy that. So I think CTV with the differentiated format, which is far different from television because television got stuck with only a spot. And with the refined targeting capabilities, I think is in a very unique position to build different creative approach to deployment and different approach by categories across clients.
No, I think, good point. In fact, the benefit that CTV as a category has received is all the innovations that came to TV as innovations came much faster to CTV. TV rarely thought about QR code, while CTV, they were an extension of the digital unit. I think at this stage, I've almost lost, I would say, all the chivalry, and I'm reaching to the lady last, I should say. But Maya, given your consulting background, what is the one key strategic advice you would give brands right now to best leverage creative and define engagement in CTV landscape?
Right. Actually, let me just go back a bit in reverse and maybe, set some more context on how CTV is growing right now in India before I just lean on to that question. I think CTV is growing phenomenally well in India. You just threw the stat there from 25-30 million households last year to 50 million households right now and expected to reach somewhere close to 65 million by the end of this year.
Spoken like a true consultant.
Exactly. So I just thought, let me first start getting into my consulting skin. Also, just to add on to that, this growth is coming in not just from urban regions, but also from tier 2 and tier 3 and even rural. In fact, 45% of the smart TV sales is coming from tier 2 and tier 3 regions. 9 out of 10 TV sets which are being sold are smart TVs. So that's exactly where we know that we are going to enter into a new era where CTV and television is finally going to join in together, merge into one, which may be coined as a different term probably in the next coming years. Maybe it will not be CTV, maybe it will be TV 2.0. In fact, coming to that, and that's exactly where I also feel that CTV is inherently going to be a part of the media mix very, very soon. Maybe in the next couple of years, that's what we are going to see, and that's where we see the entire ecosystem jumping into the bandwagon. Right now, coming on to the question as to how best one can leverage onto the creative for driving more engagement. I don't think there is a one size fits all approach. There may not be just one particular answer to that, but one key and I think the most important factor is to how you can use the big screen canvas for narrating your story. At the end of the day, CTV is nothing but a TV, right? It's a non-intrusive format. So I think the storytelling needs to be the hero, and backed by precision-based targeting, something that programmatic offers. Second most important thing is to focus on engagement and not just to burn those impressions. I believe that is very important, and then using certain interactive formats, something that Anand and Yatin just spoke about, using QR code scanners, where you are nudging your audiences to scan the code and then go on to the mobile landing page, and that's where you can enable that action and complete the journey. I think the third most important thing is also how do you balance the creative assets? It's not just the creative or the formats that we are talking about, but how can you just balance those assets? So how do I balance a shorter format versus a longer format? A longer format may give me a lot of depth to the storytelling, but it may reduce the total impressions that are available. A shorter format at the end of the day will help me stretch my budget, but again it lacks depth. So I think that is where again programmatic comes into picture, because it helps you exactly optimize your investments between both of these formats. So say I start off with a 30-second format on CTV, and then I use a 10-second format to just reinforce that message onto a secondary screen. That is something that we are seeing of late. Fourth is, how do you also leverage technology? How do you leverage DCO to serve the right communication at the right time? We have been using this for several of our brands, where we use, say, weather-based triggers or some other data signals to exactly send that communication to the right audience. So I think, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. It is going to be a combination of all of these things put together. That is the story being at the center stage, focusing on engagement, driving towards action. Third is using the right mix of assets or the creatives which are available, and finally leveraging on to DCO-led capabilities or rich media innovations to really serve that correct ad to the right consumer.
Super. I think great playbook to go by. But one interesting point that if I have to treat both of you, Yatin and you, as speakers of brand or advertisers' voice, one thing that both of you resonated is there is no one size fits all. Like, Yatin gave two separate examples of how it would be different in auto versus an FMCG, and you also mentioned the same thing, which then, culminates to the next bucket of our questioning today, which is cross-device strategy and measurement. And Yatin, I'll come back to you on this as to, with your extensive experience in offline TV planning also and investment, how do you see the core principles of media buying translating to CTV landscape? And what are the biggest shifts you have to make in your approach, and what learnings from traditional TV are still highly relevant?
So I think the the media principles, like the planning principle and buying principle, predominantly are media agnostic. Whether it's a television format, CTV, print, radio, cinema, across, because they're pretty much consistent with CTV. What are the usually four parameters how you build a plan or a strategy, right? what market we want to reach, at what frequency, what reach you want to target in deliver in your target audience, at what frequency, and at what level of continuity. So this, all these four parameters pretty consistent when it comes to CTV as well, right? Now coming to the shift, I think the largest shift happened and will continue to happen when the consumer, the audience have moved from a slot appointment to a content appointment, which was pretty much driven. We were forced into that ecosystem with the pandemic hitting in 2020 and loss of TV, linear TV to CTV in the sense because the production, linear production was stopped for a certain period. So there a lot of change of habit had happened from a slot-based viewing to a binge watching, and thereby that was the shift predominantly led to a accelerated adoption, I would say. Now coming, as I earlier mentioned my point, it's precision targeting, right? Enhanced targeting led to different approaches employed on the back of reach and frequency planning, which is linear TV still exists, but distinctly approach has come across. For example, again, I'll go to example by various categories. If you say FMCG, they're still focusing on unified reach, dealing a reach and frequency objective, predominantly led more on efficiency-based, entertainment-led content. Coming to auto BFSI, which is slightly more skewed toward performance, however, leveraging the concurrency of live event and entertainment so that they get in the incremental audience and market. E-com, leveraging high concurrency in sports and entertainment impact, but there's a continuous reach and frequency playing along throughout the campaign there. Ad tech, fintech, which has been booming for last few years, again, leveraging high concurrency on be it IPL or World Cup or cricket and certain association on live, other entertainment impact, but there's a performance narrative across on other platforms. So net, the principles remain consistent, but we have evolved over a period of time in terms of how we leverage the distinctive nature of targeting if it comes across by CTV, and again, the creative format depending on the category involved.
Very interesting, Yatin. I think, it's almost like a master class. In many ways, I'm sort of regretting moderating this, and I might as well sat in the audience and taken notes. But great reflection points, I'm sure. Now, coming to you, Maya, what role does programmatic CTV play in a cross-device strategy? And what are the key data signals you look for planning campaigns to ensure continuity and impact?
Right. See, I think today we are sitting in a multi-screen environment. An average Indian household is, accompanied or using at least 3 devices simultaneously. Right. So that gives us a huge opportunity that can be leveraged. Now, the beauty of digital is that it is measurable. Impressions and frequency are the currency that we are using. And then, outcome gets determined by, how you scientifically drive your reach and frequency. So one needs to see how, you can drive that reach and frequency in a unified way. And then see what is the, right media mix that is available for you. So I think CTV predominantly in India has been, used for achieving upper funnel objectives. In Dentsu, we have been, through our data partnerships and through a lot of tech stack which is available, we have also been able to deliver outcomes using cross-device strategy. So, just to give you an example, very recently we had driven a campaign. This is for one of the, for a premium beauty brand. Essentially, the objective was for us to reach out to female audiences, female shoppers, with the objective of maximizing engagement and conversions. So coming to your question on how we use the data signals. So we had to have the right mix of audiences using retail plus deterministic female shoppers. So that was our first approach. Second was to drive the campaign using a multi-OTT strategy, right? So again, CTV is not just we don't just look at one channel in silos. We leverage onto the multiple OTTs that are available. So driving that multi-OTT strategy, delivering that narrative, that story on the CTV, a longer format CTV, and then using data and analytics to actually see, what was the kind of engagement that our audiences received. So once we were able to understand this audience set, we then used custom retargeting to actually reach out to those engaged audiences. These engaged audiences are basically the ones which have, completed, say, quartile completed view. So we know that anybody who has engaged on the ad for, more than 25% of, or more than 25 seconds is the, audience which I know would be more engaged. So using custom retargeting to reach out to those audiences on their ancillary devices, on the secondary devices, was the next approach for us. So I think all in all, this approach really gave us, a 1.6 times higher CTR than what is seen in the average industry. Plus, using data analytics, we were able to also identify that 40% of these users were new users. So I think that is the beauty of the technology which is available today, and definitely it is possible to have CTV in the right mix and also then enable measurable outcomes using other devices or secondary devices which are available.
Great, interesting. As an extension to that, Anand, I know that when you lead operations and strategy for such a large unit, you're already working at solutions to centralize measurement on inside the DSP. So can you throw some light on that?
Sure. So basically, extension to what Maya said, TV and CTV is going to be TV 2.0. I would say when linear TV's spot buys were happening, the ideation behind it was to make it louder. The ideation is to make it smarter. So I think that's the core difference which I feel which is coming. Again, to the extension to your question, I think why DSP plays a crucial role here, Yahoo DSP, where we are actually doing these cross-device campaigns, wherein like we do a traditional CTV campaign, create a lot of segments within the Yahoo DSP ecosystem, and then do a display campaign to target those segments. So the brand has at the end of the day, the brand has an idea that there should be some ROI to it. Now, CTV as an ecosystem, you can't engage, like you can't click on that ad, right? You can't do anything. It's basically top of the funnel. So so by creating those segments, at least you are creating a segment where the ad is exposed to these guys. These are the number of users, and then maybe an offer ad or an extension to that, maybe an auto client, offer them a test drive or an offer to that, show it on their mobile phone with a call to action, which can translate into a test drive or a walk into a real estate client. It can happen. So the ideation is that, right? You do cross device and try to achieve ROI from it. So we are doing this on Yahoo DSP for a lot of campaigns. Yeah.
Right, interesting. I think measurement is also one area that we are solving. We are building a programmatic solutions tech at Social Beat. We are also the center of excellence for Chair, which is a part of Samsung. And we are also seeing similar challenges and solutions coming around and, building to solve for that. But with that lens, one measurement piece which most of the smart TV OS, boast about that they do it best is ACR. So can you throw some light on ACR, Abhijeet?
I think ACR has been there in multiple other devices as well. However, it's much more accepted in CTV because it's not a personalized device, right? You're generally watching stuff, and CTV is one of those devices that has other peripheral devices connected to it as well. Especially in a place like India, we have hybrid viewing. You might be watching streaming, but there are a lot of people who still watch set-top boxes. They have smart TV, smart stick devices. Some people even have gaming consoles, etc. Plus, from a measurement perspective, you might not have all campaigns running from a single place for you to get data back, right? Certain campaigns are running on multiple streaming platforms. Sometimes you're running it on streaming platforms plus linear TV. How do you get that data back is where ACR helps you. It helps you understand, okay, if a campaign that you have run has been ran, where it's running, all of that, what kind of usage has been there, and what kind of audience measurement you're getting from multiple different types of devices, different platforms, different apps, all of that from a single location.
Great. So I think this is the next thing that we might put on our Chat GPT or Gemini or Perplexity to dive deeper into. Thanks for throwing light on that. With that, we'll come to the final closing question, where I would request one or two lines from each one of you. But this time I will maintain some chivalry and start with Maya. Maya, what is the single biggest thing you believe your company will do to move the needle in the CTV space in next 6 months?
I think that's a very tough one. I wish you had come to me last for this one. But yeah, jokes apart, I think, tough one because we are talking about a very shorter window frame of 6 months. But having said that, we are with the festive coming in and with retail peaking, I believe for us, what would be our focus area is to, drive the best outcomes for our clients. But also, just to add on to that note, from a long-term perspective, I think also important for us to observe how, the entire ecosystem is going to trend, how YouTube is going to trend, how AVOD and freemium shift is going to happen in the country, more from building an agnostic supply. I think that's something that we would be really looking forward to observing. And then again, talking about ACR, how do you leverage onto ACR and understand the entire CTV plus TV ecosystem holistically? I think these are some of the things that we would be looking forward to, and then again, jumping on the bandwagon and immediately leveraging some of these technologies to again look at measurable outcomes for our clients.
I think super interesting. All the tech players will be excited to maybe talk to you and support you better. With that, I'll move to you, Yatin. What is it that you want to take up in next 6 months to move the needle in CTV?
I think Maya pretty mentioned it's pretty short window, but for Omnicom, it's this CTV is pretty much centerpiece when it comes to planning framework. So and the kind of nature of the clientele we are pretty much in certain advanced degree of deployment. However, the planning framework going forward in immediate future beyond 6 months also should be more driven by attention-led cross-screen deployment, because as per various reports and all, very understanding various studies show that CTV predominantly a very strong higher attention score, pretty much similar to television, only second best to cinema, right? Because it's far bigger screen, undivided attention. So I think that will lead to a far more better outcome depending on what nature of the client and what the categories are.
Now I get how difficult the question was for both of you. Also because, like you mentioned, you are in advanced stages with a lot of your large clients. Now, if we look at our perspective at Social Beat or Chail, while we have advanced clients like Samsung in very, very advanced stage, the Programmatic Solutions Initiative is also about democratizing a lot of torso clients. So while you have a lot of top clients, there are a lot of torso clients who are yet to subscribe. So my answer is simple, sell more, suggest more. Coming 6 months, go for it. So yeah, Anand, what are you doing next 6 months? You are in the much exciting space of DSP.
So at CereOne, I think, with adopting this ecosystem of CTV, I think we are at the right stage at the right time. I think the ride is already there and we are on that. With FreeWheel as a partner to us, and the Yahoo DSP, I think these two pillars will definitely lead us to a next level. And of course, that will lead us to, get a good closing financial year for us.
Great. I think, for you, Abhijeet, you have been, it's an ever evolving space for you. I think more TVs get sold, more work you have to do. So what is it that you're doing 6 months?
I think we have been waiting for this for the past 10 years. So 6 महीने तो रुक जाएंगे. But the point is that we are going all guns blazing to understand the feedback from the industry, to understand what kind of formats work, what kind of data is required, because this is not native to CTV, right? TV, neither are brands asking the question while they are spending their monies on TV because they know कि यहाँ से नहीं मिलने वाला है. So TV is a very new domain to answer these questions for them. So, and we don't know will it be the same data that you're getting from mobile or will it be a lot more? So there will be a lot of experimentation that has to be done in this next 6 months at least. There has to be a lot of new ad formats, a lot of new data points. Questions have to come from brands, agencies for us to understand what kind of relevant data should we collect, share, at what level, all of this. So a lot of experimentation is what I see in the next 6 months.
Largely research and learnings.
A lot of research and learnings. We are already doing that. This is, I mean, it's a part of how we can make the pitch better for brands, because what works on mobile or web may not work here. Even linear TV to this is going to be different.
Sure. Super interesting. So, Alvin, I'll come to you last. We started with you first. We'll have the closing line from you. What are you doing next 6 months for India, for APAC, for SCA? Anything that is really keeping you busy to push the needle on CTV?
Yeah, I guess for me, it's really, like I said, we, besides them building supply, I think what really my main focus is to look at, providing a service solution to mainly broadcasters. I think why it's so successful in the US, why it's so successful in Europe, because majority of the broadcasters uses our ad server. And not only just using the ad server, they can also do a lot of unification on supply, right? And then they can start creating marketplaces. So the broadcaster can syndicate their content as well, right? So that's where it becomes, that's why you can see our ad is simplify buying, go direct, because technically you have your one-stop shop. You can buy, let's say, for example, that's why I share with you like universal ads, right? You can go buy universal ads, you definitely have Peacock Plus, your Warner Brothers, your Paramount Plus, all the premium supply at one stop, right? And I think that's my main goal, right? To really build for each market across, like in India, for like a premium marketplace. Same thing for regional in Southeast Asia, and of course Japan and Korea. So I think that's what it is. So eventually, just go direct with CereOne.
Perfect. I think, I think I will first have to say thanks to everyone in the room for, bearing with us for such a long time. We were trending 1 hour late in the event. We are, as of now, 1 hour, 10 minutes late on the event. So thanks once again. I will not do a large closing note, but I think we have a lot of thought points to take away from this. So yeah, let's think about it, build for festive, build, for the next few months and build better. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks.